Hey everyone, welcome to Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Now, after giving it a lot of thought after watching Halloween Ends for over half a dozen times, I decided instead of posting a normal review type of video for the movie, I would share my thoughts in a slightly different format. So in this video, I'm going to discuss 5 things I like in Halloween Ends. This does not mean these are the only 5 things, but rather I chose these 5 particular elements to highlight as I just really enjoyed them and felt they were done well in the movie. So, without further ado, let's go! All right, everyone. Now I want to emphasize that I'm not ranking these in any particular order. So this is not a 1 through 5 ranking system or anything like that. I'm just sharing 5 things that I liked in Halloween Ends without trying to put one on top of the other. They're all equally amazing and well done in my eyes. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about that I liked in Halloween Ends was the opening sequence with Corey and Jeremy. I mean, I feel like this was a very well-constructed sequence. It was great intrigue as to what was really happening. I mean, because we didn't know. You know, it seemed like Michael Myers was probably in the house. Wasn't sure. They did a great job of, filming the shadows, moving shadows in a couple of those scenes. And, it was just really well executed. I loved the guessing game of what was happening and who was behind it. So yeah, I thought that was just a really good cinematography, great setup, and great execution by the cast there, and also in the unforeseen things like the building tension, and keeping us on our toes during that sequence. So I felt like the opening itself was very strong. Great opening. Another area that I liked of this movie was the performances by all of the cast members. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I think that Jamie Lee Curtis, Ron Campbell, everyone, Andy Matichak, everyone did a great job with their roles that they had and the lines that they had to deliver. So no matter what anyone may or may think regarding the characters themselves, or whether they thought the actual characters delivered what they hoped for in this movie, I think the acting performances, without question, did. Never was there one time in the movie where I was watching it thinking, oh man, this individual here, they just got to step it up. They are not hitting the mark. They're really not. I never ever felt that way. I felt like everyone gave their best effort, very good performances, very convincing, and just a great job all the way around by the actors. So I have nothing at all but positive things to say about the actual acting jobs that these performances or that these actors gave in their performances. I thought they all did very good, and never once was I taken out of the movie by the actors and their performances. So definitely a good job there by them. Now, a third thing that I really liked in Halloween Ends is the soundtrack and the score by John Carpenter. This is probably overall my most favorite soundtrack of the trilogy. I think the music is outstanding in this film, and John Carpenter is hitting on all cylinders, as he always does. I mean, there's not a bad soundtrack in the trilogy, if you ask me. All 3 of them offer very good soundtracks, very good scores. But there's something about this film, the music in it, that I really it hooks me, and I think it's really good. I find myself remembering certain songs, certain arrangements of the music at certain times out of nowhere, and that's pretty awesome if you ask me for a film soundtrack. where a lot of it is instrumental, a lot of it is where there's no words to remember or to latch on to, just the melody, just the arrangements. So I think the soundtrack is top notch, and I have to give a special shout out to one of the songs. One of the songs it's commonly known as the motorcycle song, but it's the song called "Come to Me." It's a "Come to" with the numeral 2, not T-O. "Come to Me" by Johnny Goth is the artist, and he wrote this song specifically for the soundtrack, and it is a killer tune. So if you guys know that what I'm talking about with the motorcycle scene, whenever Corey's riding at night on his bike and on the motorcycle, and the song starts up, it's a very synth-based song. It's really, really good. Great tune. Shout out to Johnny Goff specifically, because that one, the first thing I did was immediately went to Spotify and looked up what song this was and got it onto my playlist. And actually, that's pretty much the whole soundtrack is in there at this point. So anyway, great soundtrack, great score, very memorable, and very well done, John Carpenter, and then all the artists that are in the on the soundtrack itself. Now, another thing I liked in Halloween Ends was I enjoyed seeing Laurie finally have some happiness, since before Michael showed up, really for the first time since '78. If you think back, before Michael showed up in '78, she was happy and enjoying life as a 17-year-old. But what do we see here in this film? Finally, we see her again smiling. And of course, at the end, contemplating cherry blossoms with Hawkins, to end the movie. And even in H2O, if you think about it, she was still, very torturous soul in H2O. She was still on edge even then at the 20-year anniversary. She was, consuming a lot of adult beverages. Remember, she was clearly not at rest or at peace. And, sure, she would smile at times, and would be into the moment, but you could always feel the undertone in H2O that she was not at rest. She was extremely nervous, wound up, and not at ease. So what I loved seeing was just her, after all this time, all these decades, finally seeing her like genuinely smile. Like she really finally had reached not closure, because you don't reach closure when all that's happened to her in 4 years, just 4 years earlier, and then in '78. But you do gain steps towards that. And I think that's what we saw in Ends, was that from Laurie Strode. So I was happy to see that. And now finally, guys, the fifth thing, and again, I'm not saying these are the only things, but these are 5 things that I wanted to highlight. The fifth and final thing for this video that I want to mention that I liked was that we do have a definitive ending for Michael, one way or another. For all the months leading up to this movie, I speculated here on the channel and countless live streams and lots of videos. What's going to happen? Are we going to get that ambiguous ending like we got in '78, where he's gone, we don't know where he's at? Or are we going to get kind of what they attempted to go for in H2O, which of course was retconned, as we know, in Resurrection, but I pretend that didn't happen when I watch H2O. But still, what type of an ending were we going to get for Michael? What was going to happen here? And I have to say that as much as I enjoy seeing Michael live on all these sequels, and I really do, when Laurie and Allison finished him off and we get that procession, we finally get confirmation that Myers is indeed dead. There is some satisfaction in me in knowing that, Laurie won. At the end of the day, 40 plus years, she did actually win. She did conquer the boogeyman. And so I know that it goes against the mythology of John Carpenter, which is the boogeyman never dies, evil never dies. We all get that as fans of the franchise. We know the mythology. But just like in H2O, when I saw it happen, I felt, it felt right. It felt right to see her finally get back, the control of this situation. And I felt the same way here. Now I do still wish the final confrontation had have gone longer. that final battle would have been that epic showdown that the marketing promised us. So I do feel sad that we only got maybe 3 to 5 minute battle, if that, somewhere in there. I wish it would have been longer, but I'll still say this: I did like having a definitive end for Michael one way or the other. That part felt right to me for this trilogy. Of course, we all know Michael Myers is coming back. It's just a matter of time. I give it 3 to 5 years. We'll have a new Halloween movie, new Michael Myers movie, most likely. But for this, at least, timeline, it was nice to see see Laurie get that final victory in her life. All right, guys, I want to know, what are some things you liked about the movie? You don't have to list out 5, but if you do, you can if you want to. But what are some things you liked about the movie? Did you like some of these things that I mentioned, or do you have a whole different list? Start leaving your comments below right now in the comments section so we can discuss what your favorite things are, some of the things you enjoyed in the movie. I'd love to see what they are. All right, guys, that's going to be it for this update, but I'll be back soon with more Halloween Ends and other horror movie content. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Craving Something Scary, where it's all horror all the time. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you watching.